Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back yet again for another tank review. This time it will be the M4A1 Ravioli. I know I butchered that name. Don't crucify me for that, please. I'm just gonna call it the Ravioli. That's a PC nickname, so yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. This tank. Let's just get to the stats, and then we'll get into some gameplay. Then I'll get into my thoughts and impressions of it. First off, with just the basic row of equipment, you're sitting at 1400 hit points. On the low end of that, view range, you're in the middle again with 296 meters. DPM, you're on the low end with 2008 DPM with rammer, so it's not great. Standard pen, you are sitting at 200, which is again in the middle of the pack, better than some of the Russian premiums, but worse than like the FCM and stuff like that, CDC. Average damage, however, you are the second top. Only the tanks with the 122, so that'll be the T-34-3, the T-34-2, and the T-44. If he decides to use the 122mm, will be able to outtrade you. That is definitely the one saving grace of this tank, in my opinion. Um, Velocity, you're at an alright 970 meters per second. However, that is with standard APCR, so if you switch over to heat, your velocity stays the same, but it's not great. You do have a lot of pen lost over distance, which means at distance, some of the IS fronts can be very difficult indeed. Your rate of fire is one of the worst for medium tanks. Worse. Only ones that are worse are like the T-34-3 and other tanks with the 122s. Your reload time sits at a very fat 9.26 seconds. However, this is somewhat balanced out by your decent aim time of 1.9 seconds, your decent base dispersion of 0.31. If you throw on your top equipment, you'll for bringing that how I have it run is 0.285, which is pretty damn good. However, your dispersion factors are right in the middle of the pack, so not very great. Not great at all, actually, in my opinion. Gun depression, you are sitting at 10 degrees, which is just awesome. This thing has great gun depression, works a ridgeline fantastically, has good gun elevation as well. Turret traverse speed is pretty fast at 51 degrees unaided. Mobility, you are definitely one of the lightest tanks at your tier. You're basically you are an M4 that the French decided to shove a giant 105mm into. Speed forward, you're sitting at 48 kilometers per hour forward. Speed backwards, 18, so just meh there. Effective power to weight, you're right in the middle of the pack. You're definitely not slow, but you're definitely not what I'd call fast. I consider probably roughly around the Type 59 kind of speed. Traverse is again in the middle of the pack. You're sitting. It's not bad. It's just in the middle of the pack, not great. Armor, armor is very very complicated. So you are essentially a Sherman. You are a Sherman up at tier 8. You will not bounce shots very often. You have basically 50 millimeters all in the front of your tank. The side of your tank is paper. Anything with more than 45 millimeters of pen is going to easily be able to H you for big, juicy bits of damage. Rear, just as disastrous. Turrets, on the face of it, you have 63 millimeters. Above that, you have a 44 millimeters heavily sloped stuff. You have a cupola on top of that. However, you do have a big old chunk of mantlet armor, which actually can absorb a fair amount of shots, and that does cover a fair bit of your turret. So in my opinion, the mantlet's very similar to that of the Pershings. So if you are top tier against some of the lower pen guns, you can peek out, and if they dunk shots into your turret, you can get some troll bounces, and you have wonderful 10 degrees of gun depression. So as you come over that ridge, your parts of your armor start to become not good, but not what I'd call awful. I mean, you can be HE'd from the front, which you got to keep in mind. If you are any face down, you can and will be HE'd from the front by some of these big guns. Do not expect to go take this tank in and bounce shots. It has a troll mantlet, that's about it. You're very, very, very squishy. You're very, very, very tall, and people like to feast on your tiers. So the armor is definitely not a strong point of this tank. Pretty much what this tank has going for it is high alpha and 10 degrees of gun depression. It is a very excellent second line support tank. If you have something that has a little bit of armor that you can just work off of, you can put some steady damage out. It doesn't have the DPM to put a ton of 3,000 damage games. It doesn't have the armor to be able to tank the shots like the Mod 1 or a Type 59. It's just very meh all around. And for what it does, there are, in my opinion, better tanks. However, we will take a little bit of gameplay. No ace tanker gameplay because God, teams have been awful today. But I have been pretty steady in this tank. I'm a 60% win rate with 95 battles, I think, with 1,800 damage, which is all right for my skill level. It's honestly, I like the way it plays, but we'll get into the gameplay here right now. Alrighty guys, we are going to start on Canal with the first replay. I have gotten the southern spawn, so obviously I'm going to go over to the medium hills because 10 degrees of gun depression, and a couple of slightly more armored tanks, at least hold down in the form of the Centurion are over there. However, right away, you can see that this tank is not slow. I'm hitting 48 kilometers per hour here. Definitely, I'm trying to get to a ridge line, get set up so I can get an early alpha shot. This thing's entire forte is getting onto a ridge line and getting big alpha shots out. So we're going to get lit up here. CDC's driving a little bit like a Muppet, ramming into people and stuff. I'm going to go around this corner. I'm not really going to be smart about it. I do get hit from the T-44. However, I am able to out-trade him, I believe. I see that they have a 1375 out of position in that corner with not a ton of support for him. That's not a bad idea to go there if you do have support to stop people from pushing up like this. LTTB is going to get right in this guy's face right away, run into a train. And I'm going to switch HE, put a cheeky 400 HE plus roll into his turret. So again, this thing does have very nice HE for what it is. It's not as strong as some other tanks like the T-34-3 would have smacked that 1375 for a lot more than what I rolled for. However, it's pretty nice for 310 alpha. T-44, I'm pretty sure that SP-1C is going to die, so I'm going to go around this corner, just kind of try to stay a hold down. Put a tracking shot into him accidentally. Our T-20 is rammed up from behind by the Muppet CDC again. He is now a one-shot. Going to take my time, put this shot in, get the kill. So kill confirmed. We are now up 6-4. Thinking about going up to this ridge line, however, looking where they're at, they're at the C cap, or where it would be if this was supremacy. I'm just gonna nip across in front of this little opening here. Get to this next ridge line, try to use a bush, try to provide some second line support, supporting fire out. This tank does very well as a supporting tank. I really like it. You can see there the meh pen that is causing issues for the Chinese IS knockoff. Gonna put an AP round or APCR round into the STA-1 from the front there, just using the bush. I'm confident in my pen that I'm able to go through the front of that other very lightly armored tank. Load HE, put a nice HE round into his bum. Now I'm gonna go forward, try putting some additional rounds into these guys. I had enough gun depression, but I really wanted to make sure that I was getting the shot in, so I go all the way up. I'm being ignored right now. This is where the M4A1 Ravioli really likes to be. Second line with tanks to act as meat shields for it and just targets around there so that I can fire on its reload. I'm going to decide to go forward here in a bit. Going to put one more into the STA. He's going to go down, try to fight our Centurion. Centurion derps his shot, so I'm going to be able to go up again, fire on the reload, and confirm another kill. That is now 2 for me. Top Gun's still up for grabs, however the R251 dies before I can get any sort of shot off, so that was kind of disappointing at the time. Gotta go around this corner, see a little bit more hit points. I want to get another full damage shot in. Don't quite get there, but I do manage to confirm the kill for 50 hit points. So, end of the match with three kills. Again, this thing isn't spectacularly able to put damage out. It doesn't have that feel of just being able to carry. It's not a carry tank. I made 60,000 credits. The shells on this tank are pretty expensive for the standard ammunition. You're just talking about 1,200 credits. Moving into the second match here. This is probably the best game that I've had to date, or at least recorded. Gonna call Hills again because Hills are your friend. Try to work second line. Try to leverage your team's hit points. You can see there just how far that gun depresses. Looks kind of ridiculous, but you basically have a Sherman hole. You're taking it into a top tier match. so you can't expect to bounce a ton. Our T69 is going to go around the corner, get HE'd by that sneaky T49 over there. Didn't quite snap one into him. However, I'm just trying to use the angle of this area. I'm able to put one into the SE-101, back off before you can get any sort of shots back into me. I'm just going to use my reload, use the time to reset my camo and stuff, come up around the corner. I'm expecting the T49 there, but I get a little bit greedy. I look away, and then I get HE'd for 300. So again, this thing is very squishy. If he would have fired heat there, he would have penned for a lot of damage. Spot out Yak Panther, pushing up, put one into his side, back off. I see an SU-152 pushing towards me. Again, I'm really aware of the fact that I am able to be HE pen, so I'm just wiggling back and forth, trying to make him miss his shot, not making it easy for that derp gun. He gets tracked. I'm going to put another one into him for the kill. Just utilizing the mobility, utilizing the gun depression, utilizing the alpha to just work the team over. It's a very slow and steady style of gameplay. I personally really like it, but go in here, confirm the kill on the Comet. At this point, I don't really have a ton of other targets to look for and or shoot, so I'm going to decide to start moving up. I'm going to try to support this guy who's running away with the super pushing, put one into his cupola. I'm well aware of the fact that he's going to be able to pen pretty much every single one of his shots onto me. I'm trying to out-trade him, put one into his lower plate, just trying to trade distance for space, trying to make him take as much time so I can get the reload done. However, he dies before I get the reload off. We have a T49 who comes around the corner. He fires. I go for the tracking shot, hoping my team will put more damage into him. However, I know he has a even longer reload than I have, so I'm hoping to put another shot into him. Hopefully HE. However, he gets tracked up on the hill, so I load AP, get the kill. Only tank left is a Tiger P. He's going to die, so I'm just going to chill here up on the hill. Again, you have to play very, very, very conservatively, very patiently. Use your alpha, out-trade the enemy tanks. Most tanks that you're going to see nowadays, you're going to be able to out-trade. Just if someone's pushing up into you, trade space for time so you can get your reload off, get the alpha out. Be very aware of what ammunition choices you have. You don't have the best heat pen, as you guys saw from the stats rundown. So, despite the fact that this tank statistically looks like a pile of shit, and it can't carry worth shit, I actually really enjoy this tank. However, it's not for everyone. You have to be somewhat experienced to use this tank or to do reasonably well in this tank. But if you are at that level of skill where you can know how to use your team to leverage hit damage into the enemies, if you know the places where you can go hold down and still support your team, then this tank can do very well for you. It's not any sort of carry potential, but is steady, and I've done a steady 1800 to 2000 damage in it in most of the matches that I play that weren't complete and total blowouts. Again, big things to watch out for. You are squishy as hell. Squishy tanks do not like being shot. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Uh, I don't know, this tank, eh, I like it, but it's not what I call a good tank. There are better tanks for the money, uh, but please give a like, please give a share, please give a subscribe if you haven't already done so. Should have another video coming out pretty soon on Monday or Tuesday, along with a stream sometime next week. You guys are awesome, and goodbye for now.